Turn around. Hands behind your back. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch her. We have a statement. That's enough. Please, you're making a mistake. Don't resist. There are kids watching. They dragged him out of class in handcuffs. A 15-year-old honors student. No investigation. No lawyer. Just one white girl's lie and a hallway full of silence. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. It started on a Tuesday. South Ridge High School, Jacksonville, Florida. Second period. Earth Science. Malik Carter sat in the second row, taking notes like always. Third week of the new semester. He was 15. Quiet. Straight A student. One of the few black kids in honors-level classes. His mom worked nights at the hospital. His dad was long gone. Malik took care of himself. He didn't speak unless called on. Didn't goof off. Didn't make waves. That morning, the principal walked into class. Malik Carter? Malik looked up. Come with me, please. No explanation. No warning. His classmates shifted in their seats. Malik followed him down the hall. 5 steps behind. Silent. When they reached the main office, he saw 2 officers waiting. Real ones. Not campus security. What's this about? He asked. They didn't answer. One of them pulled out a pair of cuffs. Malik Carter, you're being detained in connection with a complaint filed this morning. What complaint? You'll have a chance to explain yourself at the station. I didn't do anything. Don't raise your voice. They turned him around. Put his hands behind his back. Cuffed him right there, in the school hallway, under the fluorescent lights, in front of a dozen kids. Phones came out. Some filmed. Most just watched. 20 minutes earlier, a girl named Ashley Brennan had walked into the counselor's office, crying. Said Malik cornered her near the lockers after first period. Said he made a comment and grabbed her wrist. She had no bruise, no witness, no video, but she was crying, and she was white. Back in the hallway, Malik was led past his locker, past the cafeteria, through the front doors. The school never called his mom. They called the sheriff's department. In the back of the patrol car, Malik stared at his reflection in the plexiglass divider. His mouth was dry. His hands trembled. He remembered something his mother said once. They don't need proof. They just need a version of you that fits. Now he understood what she meant. Across town, his mother, Nina, was mid-shift at the ER when her phone buzzed. Voicemail. School office. Police station. Your son's been taken in. No details. No explanation. She dropped her chart, tore off her gloves, and ran. But by the time she arrived, they had already begun the paperwork. Suspicion of assault. Potential sexual misconduct. Possible threat to school safety. And all of it based on nothing, except his skin, and a hallway with no sound. Nina Carter stood at the front desk of the Duval County Juvenile Intake Center, still in her scrubs, her hospital badge clipped to her collar. My son was just brought in. Malik Carter, 15. I need to see him. The officer behind the glass didn't even look up. He's in processing. You'll have to wait. For what? For charges to be confirmed. Charges? What is he being accused of? I don't have that information. Then find someone who does. The officer glanced up, unimpressed. Please take a seat, ma'am. Nina didn't move. Inside the holding room, Malik sat alone. No phone. No clock. Just a steel bench and gray walls. The door opened. A man in a tie stepped in, holding a file. Malik Carter? Yes, sir. I'm Detective Alvarez. Just a few questions. No big deal. Malik looked around. Where's my mom? She's on her way, I'm sure. Shouldn't she be here before you talk to me? Alvarez smiled. You're not under arrest. Just helping us understand. Malik hesitated. I didn't do anything. That's good. We just want to hear your side. What were you doing after first period? Walking to class. Alone? Yeah. Did you speak to anyone? No. Did you touch anyone? No. Did you see Ashley Brennan? Malik froze. Why are you asking about her? Alvarez leaned forward. She says you grabbed her wrist and said something inappropriate. That's not true. Okay, calm down. I didn't even talk to her. So you're saying she made it up? Malik blinked. I don't know. Alvarez closed the folder. We'll check the hallway cameras. But until then, we have to treat every claim seriously. He stood and walked out without another word. Outside, Nina still waited. 42 minutes now. Finally, a sergeant approached. Miss Carter? Yes? Your son's being held pending an interview. We've initiated a temporary school suspension and requested his electronic devices. A suspension? You haven't even told me what he's accused of. I understand your frustration. No, you don't. Where's the lawyer? Where's his representation? Ma'am, this is just standard protocol. So is slavery. The sergeant flinched. Look, I can get you a juvenile advocate. No, I'll find my own. Back at school, the story had already spread. Ashley said Malik grabbed her. Ashley said she was scared. Ashley said it was sexual. No one asked Malik. No one checked the cameras. No one said, maybe that's not what happened. They just whispered and waited. That night, Nina sat at her kitchen table, her hands gripping a coffee mug that had gone cold. She stared at the paper they handed her. Subject, Malik Carter. Temporary expulsion pending review. No evidence. No hearing. No one even used the word alleged. They had already decided. Because in their eyes, Malik wasn't a boy. He was a threat, in the shape of a child. And once the machine starts turning, it doesn't stop for the truth. Monday morning, Nina walked into Southridge High with a folder in her hand and fury in her chest. She had Malik's attendance record, letters of recommendation, proof he'd never had a single infraction, notes from teachers, printed emails praising him. She asked for the principal. She got a counselor instead. Principal Lawson is unavailable. Then make him available. The woman shifted. I can pass along a message. I'm not here to pass anything. I want my son reinstated. Immediately. The counselor exhaled. Malik's been placed under administrative review. It's not a punishment. Just procedure. He was pulled from class in handcuffs. We had to act quickly. There was a complaint. A complaint without evidence. That's what the investigation will determine. No. It's what your camera footage will prove. The counselor's eyes lowered. The hallway he was in doesn't have full coverage. Silence. By noon, Malik's name had been removed from the debate club roster. By 3 p.m., his school email access had been revoked. By 4:15 p.m., his friend Carlos stopped responding to texts. Nina stood in the parking lot, watching students pour out of the building. None of them looked her in the eye. Inside, a teacher closed her door quickly as Nina passed. Malik sat at home, staring at his homework, untouched. He scrolled social media once. Just once. He found a post. A screenshot. The words, "She told me he grabbed her," in big white letters over his photo. No context. No comments. Only likes. Only whispers. Did you see what happened? No. But you know how he is. Nina returned to the police station the next morning. I want to file a formal request for body cam and building footage. The clerk raised an eyebrow. You a lawyer? I'm a mother. That's enough for today. She filed the paperwork herself. Faxed it. Emailed it. Certified copy in the mail. She wasn't waiting for justice. She was documenting their silence. That night, Malik said quietly, "What if this doesn't go away?" Nina looked at him. It won't. Not all of it. But neither will we. At school, Ashley Brennan was back in class. She smiled at teachers, joked with friends, sat in her usual spot. She had never been asked for a written statement, never shown where the cameras pointed, never questioned twice. She cried once. That was enough. Because in the system's eyes, her tears weighed more than his entire record. And once that scale tips, no truth can balance it again. Wednesday morning. The hallway outside the school board meeting was lined with chairs, but Nina Carter stood. She held a letter in her hand. She had read it 17 times. Dear Mrs. Carter, as of this week, Malik's enrollment status is under review pending disciplinary determination. Please note that alternate placement options may be considered. Alternate placement. A coded phrase. Translation. Expel quietly. Move the problem. Avoid the press. Inside the meeting room, the superintendent sat flanked by lawyers. They didn't let her in. This isn't a public hearing, said one. He's my son. You're deciding his future. This is procedural, ma'am. No, it's personal. At home, Malik didn't eat breakfast. His notebook stayed closed. When Nina asked him to write a response, even just for the record, he shook his head. They already decided, Mom. Doesn't matter what I say. She knelt in front of him. Say it anyway. Meanwhile, she called 3 attorneys. One said his firm was full. One quoted $5,000 up front. One listened for 2 minutes and asked, was there any touching at all? She hung up. By Friday, the school removed Malik from the student directory. His ID no longer scanned at the library. The counselor stopped returning emails. The debate coach blocked Nina's number. Ashley's parents had not made a statement. No meeting. No call. Just silence. But their daughter had cried, and no one had asked her to prove it. Nina filed a public records request. She asked for the following: hallway footage, staff emails regarding the incident, incident report, police audio, school security logs. She was told, "We'll need 30 business days to process that." She didn't wait. She filed an appeal. That night, she sat across from Malik. He said one sentence: "I think I'd rather be homeschooled." She wanted to tell him no, that they'd fight, that he'd go back, that this would pass. But she couldn't say it, because lies are heavy, and some reputations collapse with just one well-placed rumor. In her room, she drafted a letter to the ACLU, then to the NAACP, then to a local journalist she remembered from a hospital fundraiser. She didn't press send. Not yet. First, she needed proof. Because Black mothers don't get second chances. They get screenshots in silence. And still no footage. No statement. No timeline. Just Malik's face. And the phrase, ongoing investigation. Ongoing into what? Because if the truth mattered, they would have found it by now. They weren't looking. They never were. Monday, 2:42 p.m. Nina received an envelope in the mail. No return address. Just a Duval County postmark. Inside, a flash drive. No note. She hesitated, then plugged it into her laptop. One file. Timestamped. Security camera footage. It showed a hallway. South Ridge High. Date: the day Malik was pulled from class. Malik appeared in frame. Walking. Alone. Backpack over one shoulder. No one near him. The time code matched Ashley's allegation. She said he cornered her after first period. But in this footage, she wasn't there. Not 5 feet away. Not behind him. Not in frame at all. Nina leaned forward. Paused. Rewound. Slowed it down. Still nothing. She opened the school handbook. Section 3.14. All discipline decisions require objective corroboration when possible. She highlighted that line, then opened a new document. Titled it, Timeline versus Footage, Inconsistencies in Allegation. That night, she confronted the vice principal. "You said the hallway had no camera coverage." He blinked. "That's correct." She showed him a still frame from the video. His face changed. "Where did you get this? Does it matter?" He stepped back. "Ms. Carter, I can't speak without district approval." "Then forward this to someone who can." The next day, Malik's name quietly reappeared in the district database. No email. No call. Just one quiet correction. Too late for the rumors. But enough for a foot in the door. Wednesday, a junior staff member from the school's tech office messaged Nina anonymously. They were told not to release footage. That camera was marked inactive, but it wasn't. She asked, "Why send it?" The reply came fast. "Because I saw it. And I have a son." Nina printed new copies of everything. Labeled folders. Prepared a timeline. Attached internal policy. Marked every contradiction. She sent the packet to the school board, the district superintendent, the police department, her state representative. No threats. Just facts. Each page a quiet scream. Malik watched her from across the table. "You think it'll work?" She didn't answer right away. "I think it already has." Back at school, Ashley Brennan overheard 2 girls whispering. "Did you see the video?" He wasn't even near her. Ashley bit her lip. Turned away. The school's lawyer sent Nina a letter. "Please refrain from spreading unverified material that may affect an ongoing case." She wrote back one line. "I'm not spreading. I'm documenting." Because now she had what they feared most. A record. Not an accusation. A contradiction. And in a system built on assumption. Proof is the one thing they can't explain away. Thursday, 9:12 a.m. Nina received an email from the district's legal department. Subject, request for meeting. Reconsideration of Carter disciplinary review. No apology. No admission. Just a meeting. At the same time, someone posted a clip on a private student forum. The same security footage Nina had seen. No commentary. Just Malik walking down an empty hallway. The caption said, "Does this look like a predator to you?" It spread. By noon, students started asking questions. Why was he expelled if she wasn't even in frame? Why didn't they show us this before? Did they just believe her because? They didn't finish the sentence. But everyone knew how it ended. Inside the school, a teacher pulled a student aside. "Keep your voice down." Why? It's the truth. It's complicated. But it wasn't. Nina entered the district office carrying 3 binders. She laid them on the conference table. Timeline. Policy violations. Correspondence records. Across from her sat two district officials, one lawyer and a note-taker. Miss Carter, we appreciate your thoroughness. You mean accuracy. Pause. We've reviewed the footage. It does raise questions. No. It answers them. They offered a re-entry plan. Malik could return in 2 weeks under conditional observation. She rejected it. You labeled him a predator. You don't get to decide how he re-enters. That evening, the school quietly updated its official site. Malik Carter, disciplinary review, status, reversed. They didn't call it what it was, a reversal under pressure. But it was. Malik read the update, then closed the tab. Does that mean I'm back? Nina looked at him. It means they blinked. The next day, a new message appeared in Nina's inbox. From someone she didn't know. A parent. My son was suspended last year over an accusation. Same principle. No footage. No hearing. He didn't fight like you did. We just left. Nina replied. I'm not fighting. I'm correcting. At Southridge High, a faculty group met privately. One teacher said, we should issue a statement. Another shook her head. Legal won't let us. But guilt doesn't need permission. And some of them were losing sleep. Ashley Brennan missed school that Friday. Officially, illness. Unofficially. She had seen the video too. Her version was falling apart. But no one questioned her yet. Because it was safer to pretend. The lie just faded. Then admit they ever believed it. And that's what Nina knew better than anyone. They'd never say sorry. But they'd start rewriting everything. To avoid ever being wrong again. Monday morning. The district's public relations office posted a new update on their website. After reviewing additional information, Southridge High School acknowledges procedural missteps in the handling of a recent disciplinary matter involving student Malik Carter. We are committed to revisiting our response protocols. No mention of race. No mention of false allegations. Just missteps. But Nina printed the statement anyway. First admission. At 11:08 a.m., the police department issued a notice. No formal charges will be pursued in the matter involving minor MC due to insufficient corroboration. That was their way of saying, we can't prove it. But never. It wasn't true. Ashley Brennan was called into a private meeting at school. No parents. No lawyers. Just two administrators. They asked, do you stand by your statement? She nodded. Then paused. I might have misread something. They didn't ask more. They didn't want a record of retraction. Just a reason to file the whole thing under closed. By Wednesday, Malik's email account was reactivated. His locker reopened. His ID card reissued. Everything returned. But no one said the words. We were wrong. In homeroom, his chair was back. But it sat empty. Because he wasn't ready. And no one had earned him back yet. At home, Malik flipped through a folder of news articles. Not about him. About others. Other black boys. Falsely accused. Never corrected. He looked at Nina. What if they just pretend this never happened? She answered. That's why we write it down. That week, Nina sent copies of her compiled report to the local newspaper, the city council, the Department of Education, a civil rights archive. She wasn't trying to make noise. She was making permanence. On Friday, Malik received a handwritten letter from a retired teacher in another district. I don't know you, but I've known the weight they put on kids like you. I'm sorry they didn't carry it with you. He didn't cry. He folded the letter, put it in his backpack, carried it anyway. At Southridge, a student petition began circulating. School board transparency and review policy reform. No one mentioned Malik by name, but everyone knew where it started. In the teacher's lounge, one staff member whispered, You think she's going to sue? Another replied, I think she's already done more than that, because Nina hadn't just cleared her son's name. She created a template, a way forward for the next time. And she knew. There would be a next time. But maybe next time. The lie would have to work harder. And maybe next time. The boy would have a name they couldn't bury so easily. Tuesday, 8:15 a.m. The district superintendent held a closed-door session with principals across the county. Topic: Handling unverified student allegations, updated risk protocols. A slide appeared. Case reference: Southridge HS/MC fall term. No names, just initials. But everyone knew. One principal raised a hand. Are we admitting failure? The superintendent replied. We're adjusting risk management strategies. Corporate code. Translation: We can't afford another Malik. Meanwhile, Nina received a formal notice. Your public records request has been fulfilled. Please find enclosed all responsive materials. Inside the envelope. Internal emails. Incident reports. Security staff logs. One line stood out in bold. Detained first. Review later. She highlighted it, then faxed it to the school board, then scanned it into her archive, then printed a copy for Malik's folder. Evidence that silence wasn't a mistake. It was policy. At South Ridge, whispers about Ashley faded, not because people forgot, but because the footage didn't lie. The myth collapsed. Under the weight of its own quiet contradiction, Malik stayed home that week, not out of fear, but out of choice. He was learning something else now, that justice didn't look like parades or parades. It looked like access. He could speak, submit, document, and they had to respond. A law student from a nearby university emailed Nina, "Would you be willing to share your documentation for a paper on racial bias in school discipline?" She replied, "Only if you cite it in future cases." By Friday, a new draft memo circulated within the district. Staff must refrain from public or private assumptions of guilt prior to evidence review. Failure to comply may result in administrative action. It was weak, too late, but it was real. And in systems like this, paper changes first. In her kitchen, Nina added another binder to the shelf. 3 now, labeled by week. Color-coded tabs, not just for Malik, for whoever came next. That night, she stood at his door. "You ready to go back?" He looked up. "Are they?" Saturday morning, she received a call from a mother she'd never met. "I heard what you did. My nephew went through something similar. They moved him to another school. No hearing. No proof." Pause. "How did you stay standing?" Nina didn't answer right away. Then, "I didn't. I just refused to sit down. Because power never leaves willingly. It has to be outlasted. Page by page. Word by word. Lie by lie." And now the system knew something it hadn't known before. Next time it tried to erase a child, that child might come with a mother. Who keeps records? Monday, 10:27 a.m. A new district-wide training session was launched. Title: Equity in Emergency Response, Lessons from Case MC. Required for all administrative staff, school security, guidance counselors, first-year teachers. Slide 1 began. Assumptions without evidence damage more than records. They damage trust. Malik's name wasn't on the slides, but he was in every word. That afternoon, Nina received a letter from the state education office. "Your complaint has been reviewed and noted as contributing to procedural adjustments across 4 districts." She stared at that word. Contributing. They still couldn't say responsible. But she folded the letter, added it to binder 4. Malik sat at the kitchen table, finishing a writing assignment. Prompt: describe a moment you changed someone's mind. He paused, then wrote, "I didn't change their mind. I made them read." Across town, Ashley Brennan met with a counselor. Not about discipline, about support. She hadn't spoken publicly, hadn't admitted anything. But in private, she cried again. And this time, it wasn't enough. The counselor had to file a report, not to punish her, to record her. The school board issued a quiet memo. All student complaints involving physical or verbal conduct must be documented with time, location, and direct witness accounts before escalation. It was bureaucratic, sanitized, but behind every comma, there was fear of being next. Nina declined 3 interview requests, local news, a podcast, a civil rights roundtable, not because she didn't care, because she already wrote the story herself. That Friday, Malik returned to school. Head up, steps slow, eyes forward. He passed the main office, the security desk, the hallway where it all started. No one said anything, but no one looked away, either. At lunch, Carlos finally sat next to him again. "They messed up, man." Malik didn't answer. Didn't need to. Carlos nodded like he understood. In the faculty lounge, a new teacher asked, "Who's the kid everyone's quiet around?" A senior teacher replied, "He's the reason we're still allowed to teach with cameras running." Back home, Nina got another email from a school in Georgia. Subject: Request for materials, MC policy review model. Attached was a letter of acknowledgement. They'd used her documentation to build their own protocol. She printed it, filed it, then sat in silence. Not victory, not peace, just quiet that couldn't deny her anymore. Because the goal was never to punish them. It was to make sure they remembered him. even when no one said his name out loud. 6 weeks later, a panel at a statewide education summit opened with an unexpected title: When Protocol Fails, the MC Incident and Preventative Reform. For speakers, no photographs, one mention. Based on a mother's documentation, this district rewrote 4 levels of response policy. Malik didn't attend. Didn't need to. He was at home, working on a coding project. Not for school. For himself. He didn't speak about what happened. Didn't correct rumors. Didn't ask for apologies. He just moved forward. And that was the point. At Southridge, new posters went up. Every student, every truth. Evidence before action. We see you. All of you. But Nina knew what they really meant. We see you now. Malik's record was wiped clean. But not really. Because in every hallway he passed, there was a silence that hadn't existed before. Respect? Maybe. Guilt? Likely. Memory? Definitely. That spring, Nina was asked to consult on a district-wide parent committee. She agreed, with conditions. All meetings must be public. All minutes must be archived. All families must be heard. They said yes. Because now, she had leverage. Ashley Brennan transferred schools quietly. No press. No notes. No punishment. Just disappearance. That was the system's version of closure. One day, Malik came home from school, dropped his bag, and said, "I think I want to study law." Nina didn't answer right away. Then, because of what happened? He shook his head. Because they didn't know what to do with someone like me. No lawsuits were filed. No civil settlement. No media tour. But across 3 counties. Every principal now knew. If you move too fast, she'll make you rewind everything. Binder 5 sat closed. Label, finalized. Inside, timelines, emails, policy drafts, and the name of every person who tried to erase her son. None of them were villains, but all of them were complicit. And when Malik graduated 2 years later, no honors, no microphone, just a steady walk across the stage. One teacher whispered to another, "That's the boy they tried to make disappear." But they didn't, because his mother refused to let their silence be the last word. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire action and hope.